the bird. Don't get your stinker eye. We try our best, and we're successful. Come watch our show. That Rivers sponsors. It's time to start. Enjoy the show.
Now that is good music. Hello, everybody. It's me, Simon Holden, and I've got Tim Dennis with me on the final Betting Weekly Live of July. What a month it's been for the channel. Before I come to you, Tim, we have a statement from the owners, and I'm going to read it to you, folks, because it's incredible. We're not ones to big ourselves up, but BetRivers have released this statement today, folks. Tennis and soccer betting focused Betting Weekly Studios, that's us, reached an all-time high in YouTube watch in the second quarter of 2025, with more than 4 million minutes consumed. Be more by now. 179% increase over the same quarter in 2024. Extraordinary stats from an extraordinary channel. That's fantastic, that, isn't it, Tim?
It is, Simon. Yeah, great to see you. And yeah, this just shows this channel is going from strength to strength. And if you're not watching, then you're really missing out, with plenty of sports going on. Wimbledon just been and gone, and the Premier League soon to come, and yeah, all sorts going on. US Open coming up soon, and yeah, you need to be tuning into all these shows to keep up with all the best bets and all the plays going forward.
Fantastic. Yeah, folks, if you're not subscribed, if you're just viewing now, just take a second to subscribe and click that notification bell, because we are only getting started. So many of you in the comments already. Dave Clark, Leslie Mack, William Jenner, Villafan, Dave Clark, welcome you all. Fantastic. And folks, we're going to look at some UEFA football. We're going to look at the tennis, easy for me to say, for both men and women. So what's your best bets today? Get them in. And what's been your best bet in the month of July? Let us know in the comments and we'll read some of them out. But first, some housekeeping before we look at 3 football matches. Thursday's live streams. BetRivers are streaming 8 Europa League qualifying matches and a mega 44 Conference League qualifying matches. They're also screening Soccer-wise Sporting Lisbon v Benfica in the Portugal curtain raiser that is the Super Cup. Cruz Azul v Seattle Sounders in the Leagues Cup, and crucially for what we're going to talk about yet again, the ATP Toronto and the WTA Montreal are being streamed by BetRivers, so they will take care of you there. And that's not all, folks, because you could win a $100 bonus bet today from BetRivers. Enter the Hall of Fame giveaway on the BetRivers X account for your chance to win a $100 bonus bet. Just go to the BetRivers account on X and looked for the pinned post all about the Hall of Fame giveaway, and one lucky player will win that $100 bonus. And lastly, if you like what you hear,
must be in that Hall of Fame, Simon. Sorry to interrupt, but you must be in
it's
that
not
already.
For me to say, Tim, but it's only a matter of time, I believe. If you are enjoying what you're hearing and look at those stats, we'll show you that more and more of you are. Why not sign up for our newsletter? It will go out again tomorrow for the weekend. You can have it in your inbox, get exclusive tips, the free Insider magazine. We're all involved in that. So sign up for free at bettingweeklystudios.com. So there we go, folks. That is the housekeeping done. A really exciting day for us and for Nigel Seeley and the whole team. A huge well done. Now, it is a big night of soccer action. We are looking at the Europa League. It's the qualifying stages, and it is the second leg, Tim, of matches. So this is going to be an exciting night. We're going to look at 3 games. And of course, without sounding like Anne Robinson on the Weakest Link, someone's going to go home very happy today and someone's going to go home very, very depressed in all these games. Have you been following this competition, Tim? Have you got your, I know you're very busy with the tennis, but have you got your soccer head on yet for the new season?
Yeah, well, I haven't seen too much of these competitions we're going to talk about here. I'm a Red Side of Manchester fan for my sins at the
For your
moment.
sins.
It's definitely a tough,
Yeah.
tough couple of years, but I followed them. They had a decent win over in the States. I know you can't really read too much into that, but I think they beat Bournemouth and West Ham, and there looks to be a few positive signs. I like the manager, so yeah, I'm really looking forward to that football season getting going. And I think we've got the EFL starting this weekend, and the
We
Premiership
have.
hot on their heels, I think.
And of course, this is the channel for Premier League and for European football and everything. The great James Eastham and the boys on the Premier League show will take you through the whole season. But on the subject of Man U, Tim, I did the show with Nigel on Monday. We looked at the Premier League futures. We both, as an Everton fan, I heartbreakingly said that Liverpool, of course, were going to be cut in the title race with new signings on the way. But I did give a big up for Man United. I think they bought very well this summer, and I think they may shock a few people, but we must not get ahead of ourselves. This is the Europa League second legs. We've got 3 games to have a look at. The full slate of games is on Bet Rivers and all the Conference League games. And not just that, but so many markets in each game. So get yourself over there and check them out. But I have some selections for you. Let's see if we can end July with some soccer winners for you. So Night Owl, our producer, are you there? Will you bring up the first one? There he is, like dynamite, that kid. BK Häcken v Anderlecht. Now, BK Häcken v Anderlecht. We're slightly out of order, but don't worry about that. The first leg score is Anderlecht 1-0. So Anderlecht have got the upper hand in this game. Of course, one of the great names of European football, and they are plus 100 to win this second leg. BK Häcken at plus 225 with a tie at plus 275. But I've got a bet in this. I've got 3, actually, over 2.5 goals in this game. I do think there's going to be goals. Häcken are going to have to come out and attack, and Anderlecht have got a really strong front line. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. And that's my first selection in that, over 2.5 goals. Now, that is minus 177. I also think both teams to score is a very, very solid bet there. It is a little tight, a little mean at minus 200, but I do think that is worth getting involved in. And the last bet I've got for you is plus money. It is Kasper Dolberg to score any time. He scored in the first leg. He's a very, very strong player, and I do think that Häcken are going to struggle to contain him. Now, he is, if you could just put that back up, please, John. I'll just show the price, good man. It's plus a 280 first scorer, but I think the solid bet there is plus 108. So there you go. Häcken v Anderlecht is our first game. Now, the second game we're going to have a look at, if we can bring that up, John, please. That is CFR Cluj versus Lugano. Now, this game is 0-0. However, I do think with this being at Cluj, they are a strong team at home. I think Lugano are going to have to come out and be more aggressive. I don't think this is a classic second leg, Tim, where the first one is cagey, and in the second leg, they're both going to have to come out. I do think Cluj on the money line of the play here. They're at plus 123. I think plus odds for them is good value. But the other one I like is over 2.5 goals. So they're attacking intent at home. And I do think we're going to see a very different, more attacking Lugano here. Should produce plenty of chances. But I could see, I had to think about the old 2-1 or 3-1 Cluj. But I think it's safer just to bet them on the money line. And
yeah, I did
also,
see Lugano haven't won a game in their last 6. So that plus
exactly.
123 could look quite a nice price, couldn't it?
Yeah, and Lugano have been letting quite a few goals in. I do think Cluj at plus money is the bet there, Tim. I think sometimes you can, with a lot of these games, you could tie yourself in knots looking for too many props and too many angles, in my humble opinion. And sometimes if you just keep coming back to the fact that the original money line bet is you think too big just to plow on there. So I think that's the main play there. I actually think, I'm going to give it away, but I do think that's my best bet of the day. Is Cluj on the money line. And we'll come to the third game that we are covering now. This one will be played in an incredible atmosphere at Easter Road, which will be a sellout. Hibernian were thought to have little chance at Midtjylland, but they came away with a 1-1 draw. Now, of course, they've got a draw out there. This is the return leg. It's going to be a sensational atmosphere there, a sellout crowd at Easter Road. But Hibernian are plus 290, and the Midtjylland are minus money, minus 125. That might look a little odd, but we've got to remember going into the first game, Midtjylland were a very, very short price, and we thought they're going to give Hibs so many problems. Now, I do like both teams to score here. It is minus 175. It's a little short. I ummed and ahed about going on the over 2.5 goals here because Hibs are not a great team for keeping a clean sheet. And I do think this will be a very attacking in front of a big crowd. So that interested in me, but minus 155 I thought was a bit on the mean side. So if we're going to do both teams to score, which I think is a solid bet, obviously cashed in the first leg, I do think Hibs will score tonight. It's just a question of whether they can keep Midtjylland out. So I'm going to stick with that as the solid bet at minus 175, bonus teams to score. But I do have a plus money one for you, and it's whether you want to play it anytime score or first scorer, and that is Francolino Zhu to score at any time. He scored 2 goals 2 games ago, and he recently got a hat trick. This guy is absolutely scoring goals for fun, and I think he will get against a weak Hibernian defense. Sorry, Hibernian fans. They did fight hard, as Dave Clark said in the first leg, but I really think that they might come crashing down to earth tonight. And I do think Francolino Zhu to score at any time, plus 115. If you want to be a bit bolder, plus 295. But I do think both teams to score is a very solid banker bet there. I think it's going to be a terrific for this early in, not in the season, it was still in the preseason, but of course this is a live competition. Hibs will be desperate to qualify, be roared on by that home crowd, but I do think they might just get outclassed by Midtjylland, possibly in the second half. I again looked at the 2-1-3-1, but I do that Francolino Zhu to score anytime. I tell you what, Tim, that will be the game to watch today. I think that will be an absolutely early season cracker.
Yeah, like you say, I can't imagine there's going to be a better atmosphere in those games tonight than that one at Hibs. You know, Scots fans get right behind their team, and if you were going to a game tonight, you'd be looking forward to that, wouldn't you?
Yeah. Hibs will, of course, be very, very difficult not to come out all guns blazing. And again, with Francolino Dio in the opposition,
do they look a bit short on the money line, the away side there, minus money?
Well, your obvious first reaction to a market like that is, has the market corrected enough from the first leg? Of course, Midtjylland were a very, very short price. And of course, the fact that it was a draw, you start to think, well, a Hibs good value at plus 290. But you got to remember the odds compilers set Midtjylland at a very short price because they believe they were a cut above. And as that one game changed everything, I think Hibs played really, really well. But I do think Midtjylland would have walked off that first leg thinking that they probably left a couple of goals out there. So, yes, it's a tough one, isn't it? It's probably about right. And if you think something's about right, it's probably not a play, is it? So the play in the goal scorer market and the both teams to score, I think I'll leave the money line on that one. But you're right, it's a tough one, isn't it? When you've got 2 legs, do you stick with your initial assessment of both teams, or sometimes could you be in danger of overreacting to a first leg? That could be the issue there. And I could see Hibs being a popular bet, obviously, with the home fans and British fans. But I don't know. The more emotionless soccer bettors, I think, will be going for the classier Midtjylland to go through. But it's going to be a hell of a game, and I think there will be goals at Easter Road. So get on that stream and watch that one. Right, that's the soccer dealt with. Remember, Bet Rivers are covering all those games. They're going to be live streamed, 44 in the conference. And obviously the Midtjylland game will be on the roster as well. But we are now heading. And what a week of tennis, of course, Tim. We're going to Canada for the men's and women's events. I was asking you off air, how has these tournaments been treating you so far?
Yeah, not too bad. I spoke to the guys who watched Betting Weekly Tennis Live yesterday. I think we had a couple of winners on that show, which was nice. I think I mentioned on that I bet Pegula in that, so she started off nicely. She beat Sakari straight sets last night, so that was a good start. So she shortened a little bit in the market, but all the big players are still in there. Iga Swiatek, she won. Anisimova won last night as well, and it's building up to be a really good tournament. I think the final is a week today. Funnily enough, these Masters events going over sort of just over 10 days now. It's going to be on a Thursday. Normally these finals are the weekend, Saturdays and Sundays, but yeah, with this one being a Thursday, so this time next week we'll know where we are with that. But yeah, lots of tennis still to come, and some good games to look forward to today.
And of course, the men's event, because this is a top tier event, and it just below that sort of major. These are big deals, aren't they? These two, but the men's event sort of hit by sort of big profile dropouts, really, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, Alcaraz and Sinner, obviously they've contested the last two Grand Slam finals, and I think they've chosen to sit this one out. Alcaraz, citing a bit of fatigue, and Sinner just building up to that US Open swing. They're going to get ready for the next tournaments, I think, to get ready for their US Open build-up. So I'm sure these guys know what they're doing. But yeah, for a little bit disappointing for the organisers, I suppose, to have the two best players in the world. But I think from our point of view, that gives us a bit more of an angle to find the winners, because I think in the men's tournament, I think it was plus 600 the field. So if Alcaraz and Sinner are in there, they'd be fighting out favouritism, and it'd be sort of, I don't know, 1,400 plus 1,600 bar maybe, and just probably struggling to get the winner with those two in the tournament. So I think from a betting proposition, it gives us more of a chance. And yeah, personally, I don't actually mind that, because we can get stuck in decent markets at decent value.
Yeah, and widen the field. Very quickly, you've got Javaris Taylor on. Hey guys, do you have any picks on the Ben Shelton doubles match?
Personally, I don't have that. I've just been concentrating on the singles today. So as far as the doubles goes, I'll leave that to your expertise. But I've been concentrating on the singles.
But if you've got a bet in it, Javaris, pop it in the thread, and you'll be our doubles expert today. But we're going to look at the women's games first. So, John, if you could pop those up.
Yeah, we've got the women's here.
Oh, sorry, mate. I'll hand over to you.
No problem. We've got the women's here starting in Montreal, and yeah, the first one we're going to look at is Coco Gauff versus Veronika Kudermetova. And Gauff, I'm not sure if anybody saw it, but she played a ridiculous near 3-hour match there the other night with Danielle Collins, having 74. Yeah, you heard that right. 74 unforced errors in the match. And bear in mind, this is the French Open champion, and I think 23 of those unforced errors were double faults. And yeah, really unheard of stuff. But she still managed to come through. She managed to win. She won in the 3 sets. I think she's made the quarterfinals here in her last three of her last 4 visits to this tournament. So she goes well here. I think Kudermetova, though, she's got the game to trouble Gauff. She's beaten her before on hard courts, and I think Gauff, with these sort of throwing in these unforced errors and not really playing clean matches, I thought the bet I did like here was over 20.5 total games. I thought was fair at -114. I did look at the Kudermetova player games, but I think it was a little bit short from what I saw. So I think she can cover. She can give Gauff a game, and I think the game will go, even if it doesn't go to 3 sets. I think it will go quite long, with Gauff probably going to carry on making quite a few errors, and Kudermetova having come through a round here as well, or 2 rounds, sorry. Looking fairly comfortable in these conditions, and I think she'll give Gauff something to think about. So I don't see it being as straightforward as the market suggests, and so yeah, over 20.5 total games in that match was where I was looking to go.
Right, 74 unforced errors, Tim. Amazing. I only made 73 the last time we worked together.
Yeah, I would actually fancy you to make less, Simon, to be honest. I mean,
damn with them praise. Right, let's move on to the Yastremska v Navarro game. Yeah,
Dayana Yastremska, yeah, she takes on Emma Navarro, and yeah, a good-looking match, this one. Yastremska, she'll be the one looking to hit the winners. Navarro will be trying to probably make the rallies a little bit longer to try and bring out those unforced errors from Yastremska's racket. But these two have met once before, and Yastremska actually won that last year in the Australian Open in 3 sets. And I thought Yastremska would certainly give her another game here. And I thought the 167 was probably a fraction short there on Navarro. Did I want to get involved in Yastremska again? I thought the plus 135 is probably more than fair, but I thought that the better bet of the two was the over 2.5 sets at plus 140 looked a good way to go to me. I think Yastremska, anyone who's seen her play, she can quite quickly go from the sublime to the ridiculous almost in a matter of minutes, and she can blow players out of the water and then look like she can't win a game for a set. So I think Navarro, she'll be the more consistent player of the two, but Yastremska will have the more highs and lows, and I think that will give her the chance of taking this game long at least anyway. So I thought plus 140 over 2.5 sets was probably a bit of value there to perhaps follow in the footsteps of the last match they had on a head-to-head over there in Australia. And yeah, it wouldn't surprise me at all if this one went long. So yeah, over 2.5 sets was the way I was looking to go in that one.
Right, let's move on to the next game.
Yeah, another game, got another ladies match there in Montreal. Marta, Kostyuk and Daria Kasatkina, both sort of on the comeback trail a little bit. They've met 7 times before, and Kasatkina actually leads the head-to-head 4-3, but she's actually won 4 of the last 5. Kasatkina is really on a sort of trying to find a little bit of form. I think she made 6 finals last year, and I don't think she hasn't made a quarterfinal since Adelaide in January of this year. So she's really fallen her form. I think she's only won 3 of her last 8 matches. But having said that, Kostyuk, she's finally snapped a 6-match losing streak, beating Vondrousova there the other day, and she did really well because she came from a set. She was a set and a break down to Vondrousova, and looked in all sorts of trouble. And having lost 6 matches in a row, you wouldn't have been surprised at all if she let that sort of continue and made it 7. But she sort of stuck to her guns and got back into it and showed a bit of form that she'd shown previously this year, and got back into that match and ended up taking it a third. Like I said, running there from a set and a breakdown, and I think that will have given her plenty of confidence. And I mean, Kasatkina, she won her match the other day, but she was really helped by plenty of unforced errors coming off her opponent's racket, and I'm still not quite yet to believe that she's back to her best. So, and I think in these conditions, sort of warm weather, it should be fairly slick conditions. That's still going to play more to Kostyuk's advantage than it is Kasatkina's. So I think I thought minus 152 on the money line was. I was trying to find a little bit of value there, so I thought the minus 109, giving up the 2.5 games, was the way to look at it. Even if this does go 3 sets, I mean, that bet could still land because these two can be a little bit swingy. So I think we take the chance at the minus 109 of Kostyuk giving up the 2.5 game start, rather than taking the money line of minus 152, because I think if she's going to win, I think she'll win. She'll cover that start. So yeah, I like Kostyuk minus 2.5 games there. I think it'll be a good game to watch, this one. But yeah, I fancy her to get the better Kasatkina.
Excellent. Now, before we move on to Toronto and the men's, just going to catch up with some of the comments that have come in and some questions. A says that Gauff Collins match was certainly ugly, but somehow dramatic. Kudermetova might cover the spread. Interesting. Now, Dave Clark, friend of the channel, has got a few points in. He says, what is your prediction for the Shakhtar game? I think Shakhtar will go through, Dave, but I do think that's a little mean on the prices. So it was a no bet for me there. And there was another question from Dave Clark. He likes Shakhtar to win and both teams to score. For some pizza money, you see a phrase that just keeps going on and on and on. Hello both. Simon, any tips for the LPG Open? I think just bet Wode, the amateur, and how the hell she's been an amateur doesn't make the pros look very good. I think she's an absolute sensation. So it's one of them. Just keep betting her until she gets beat, I think. Dave Clark going to tell Jack this betting weekly news pick. That's what we like. Villafan says hi. Hi to you, mate. William Jennett, great work, boys, on the news. And air quality alert in Toronto. That's interesting. And doesn't make you want to change any tips, the old air quality, Tim?
I mean, define air quality alert. What are we looking at? Are we looking at a bit of moisture in the air, or are we looking at damp conditions? Or, I mean, I haven't seen the.
Well, if that means damp, I mean, in both of these events, are the courts playing as quick or slower than you expected, or are they consistent this week?
I think they're certainly quicker in the men's event in Toronto than they are in the women's. But I mean, sometimes you can take that with a pinch of salt. Looking at first serve points won. I mean, you look at Kudermetova. I think she won 80% of her total service points won in her previous match there. I mean, when you look at the men's, I think Musetti in his game, I think we're going to talk about him later. I think he won 90% of points behind his first serve. So it's probably, if you're going to say it's one's quicker than the other, I think you definitely lean towards the men's being quicker in Toronto than it is in Montreal. But yes, I'm still reasonably slick hard court conditions, I think, at both events. But if you had to choose one from the two, it's certainly quicker for the men's event.
Right. Well, Betting Weekly Studios, I think might be that Nigel Seeley, says, do you think the courts are quick in Montreal? Just address that. And Raducanu v Anisimova is the most interesting match today. Of course, Raducanu has been Nigel Seeley's nemesis. So watch to see which way he goes on that, and then divert the other way. Only kidding, of course.
I think that game's tomorrow, Raducanu.
Yeah, in this line of match. Oh, yeah, tomorrow, yeah.
Yeah.
Grazer, I think, has fed that question by saying hard not to be on the Raducanu train. Well, that's a train that a lot of people have got off at the wrong stop this year. So that's tomorrow. Any early thoughts on that, tomorrow's match, Tim?
I mean, yeah, cracking match to look forward to. Anisimova, she came through last night in straight sets, but she was forced to a tiebreak in one of those sets. And Raducanu, she looked pretty good in there and beating Peyton Stearns. Unfortunately, Raducanu let us down last night because we cashed, as we have a few times this year, the first part of our daily double at plus 200, and then the minus 120 shot in the over total games there let us down. It's I think we were running over 20.5, and it came in at 18, so a little bit short there. But yeah, I mean, full credit to Raducanu. I think she's played 6 sets against Stearns now, and she's won them all. And yeah, she's bar like we said yesterday, bar that US Open victory, she's playing the best tennis of her life, and she should be full of confidence. So, I mean, Anisimova obviously had that devastating loss in the Wimbledon final, but I think she's suited by these kind of hard courts, and she'll be looking to have a decent US Open swing. And I've actually bet her earlier in the year in the US Open, so I'm hoping she can get going. But yeah, probably a bigger game for Raducanu, I would say, tomorrow than it is Anisimova. But I think Anisimova, she lost in the final to Pegula here last year, so she's obviously got a good record here too. So, I mean, I think as far as tomorrow's games go, that is one of the biggest matches to look forward to, and I'll be keenly watching that one.
Yeah, definitely. That's something to look out for. And just very quickly there, some great comments in again. We talked about the viewing figures, the fantastic growth of this channel. But, you know, we've got some fantastic presenters on here. We really have the leaders in their field. And but this show is made what it is by you, the guys that watch night after night, your comments, your questions, your support. The reason I say in all my Instagram videos, and always have, it's always better when we win together, is because this is a community and a very supportive one. So thank you to everybody who watches this. Thank you to the people that just watch it and don't feel that they want to get involved in the comments. That's fine too. But thanks to the people that give their views day after day after day and support this channel. Right, lastly, before we move on to the men's, if Raducanu wins tomorrow, she will go into the top 32 in the rankings and be seeded for the US Open. So that is a big motivation factor for her. Dave Clark corrects himself for calling you time. I'll be calling time on this if we don't get to the men's. Tim, what is your favorite play today on the women's side? So we're going to come to the best bet at the end, but now you've asked, we might as well say, what's the Dennis nap on the women's today, Tim?
I suppose on the women's side, we're going to cover 3 matches on the women's today and 3 matches on the men's. A couple of those matches being tomorrow. But I think my best bet on the women's side, I will probably go with over 20.5 games in the Coco Gauff match. I just don't see her playing a clean enough game to get it done in very, very straightforward circumstances. And I'm sure Kudermetova can give her something to think about. So yeah, over 20.5 total games at minus 114 on the women's side would be my best.
Excellent. There you go, Clarky. That's the answer to your question. We aim to please. Now we must finally, after being sidetracked there, head to Toronto. I believe, Tim, we've got 1 game today and 2 featured tomorrow. So yeah, we'll start on with today's game.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, this is Lorenzo Musetti against Alex Michelsen. And yeah, this is the first time these guys have met. And I think the funny stat in this match is Michelsen's already amassed more hard court wins in his career than Musetti has. And Musetti's been on tour for 4 years longer than him. So that kind of tells you he's a little bit more comfortable on these hard courts. Musetti actually, he won 90% of his first serve points, like we spoke about earlier there, in his first match against Duckworth. And and Michelsen won 75% of his in his first match against Barrios Vera. And I think the bet I liked, similar to, like I mentioned, the guys that listened yesterday, I think I did over 10.5 games in the first set of Yuri Lehechka against Mackenzie McDonald yesterday, which actually cashed. They actually ended up playing a first set tiebreak. And similar to these two, that was their first head-to-head. And the reason I like a bet here is, I mean, with their first head-to-head and not playing each other before, should take a little bit of time to get a read on each other's serve. And in those fast conditions, I thought, yeah, over 10.5 games in set one here was plus 210 I saw with Bet Rivers. And yeah, I thought that was really fair. So yeah, similar to the bet we had yesterday, which cashed, I'm going to go with over 10.5 games in set one. And if you wanted to be a little bit brave, you probably could have a little bit more on the the over 12.5 games as well. I mean, we didn't do that yesterday, but it actually did go to a tiebreak. So, I mean, sometimes you can do both and you can win twice. But if you don't get that tiebreak, you can still go with the 10.5. So I think the 10.5 that's a plus 210 is a good way of going on the quick conditions and it being their first meeting.
Excellent. Right, very quickly, Leslie Mack says smog fire affecting the air quality. Well, firstly, we hope everyone's okay before we worry about the tennis affecting there. So stay safe if you're in the area. Right, so we're going to have a very quick preview of 2 games from tomorrow, Tim.
Yeah, we're going to start with the O'Connell de Minaur game, or
Chris O'Connell and Alex de Minaur.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, so this is their first meeting between these two, but they've been regular practice partners, obviously both being Australian. And O'Connell beat Zheng in round 1 for the loss of just 3 games before beating the Cedars player Stefano Tsitsipas yesterday. And he actually didn't serve that well yesterday. I think he only made 49% of his first serves, and his actual year average is about 60%. So if he can just up that level a little bit, I think there's better to come from him against de Minaur. And de Minaur, he's obviously won in Washington last week, so and he's played around already, beating Comersana. So he might not be completely at 100%. There might be a little bit of petrol out of the tank here with de Minaur. So I think O'Connell's got plenty of chance of giving a game here. And there was a few ways I looked at it. You could look at the total games, or you could look at him to perhaps win a set. But the bet I did like was O'Connell. I think he's over 7.5 total games, is minus 120 for Chris O'Connell total player games. I thought was the best way to go. I think if he improves that serving level, which history suggests he probably will, I think he should be able to cover that 7.5 game total. And minus 120. I thought that was a fair bet.
Excellent. So these two will know each other inside out.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, even though it's their first head-to-head, they would have practiced. I know they have practiced plenty with each other, and yeah, they'll know each other what's what, and O'Connell will know what's to come, as will de Minaur, vice versa. But obviously, de Minaur are a very big underdog there, and I think O'Connell can give him something to think about, and I think he'd be fairly disappointed if he couldn't win 8 games there tomorrow.
Excellent. Right, let's move on to the second game we're looking at tomorrow.
Andrey Rublev. Andrey Rublev against Lorenzo Sonego, and I think I saw some comments from Rublev after his first match. I think he described the conditions here after beating Hugo Gaston as crazy, very fast, and super hard to control the ball, were his words, and that just tells you he's perhaps not completely accustomed to these conditions just yet. Obviously, that first match under his belt will help, and another day's practice. But he did also suggest that he was perhaps just struggling with the heat there a little bit. I think that it's perhaps the forecast isn't meant to be quite as hot, so that should suit him. But I think in the last match these two played, I think there was only 1 break of serve, and it should still again be reasonably quick conditions. And Sonego's got some really decent form on these hard court surfaces in quick conditions. I think he made the quarterfinal of the Australian Open this year. And I think he sort of raises his game against the better players. So again, a market we've looked at before already on this show. I thought over 10.5 games in set 1, that was a plus 160 chance with Bet Rivers. And I thought having, like I said, with the only 1 breaker serve in their previous head-to-head match, and Sonego looking pretty good on serve, and Rublev the same. And like he said, super fast conditions and not easy to control the ball. perhaps over 10.5 games was another way I wanted to look at that. And yeah, plus 160 again. I thought was a fair way of going.
Excellent. Thank you for that, Tim. Certainly, and of course, we are building up, aren't we? And I'm sure you're as excited as Nigel and Sean and everyone about the upcoming US Open with, just been mentioned, Raducanu trying to get herself a seed there. But is that one of your favourite majors? And obviously, got to be your top four, isn't it? But one of your
yes, it's definitely in the top four. Yeah.
Yeah. Is it?
But yeah, I love all. Get off the fence here saying I like all four of them, but yeah, I'm a fan of the US Open. I've had some fairly decent results in that previously as well. I think one of my bet winners, Stan Wawrinka, won it at a massive price many moons ago against Djokovic in the final. So it is a major I like, and I'm looking forward to it this year. Perhaps a little bit easier to find value on the women's side with those two men at the moment being taking up the majority of the market. So yeah, I'm on the as I said previously, I'm on the Anisimova train, and I'm on a quite a nice price. And I probably wouldn't back her now as as short as she is, but hopefully she can get it done from a selfish point of view. But it is a major I really look forward to, and it's great we've got a couple of Americans on this Betting Weekly Tennis Live in Mitch and Dustin that can follow it out there for us as well, and we can all bounce ideas off each other, and yeah, you've got every angle covered.
Yeah, top tennis team in the business. And funny you should say that, Tim, because at 2:00 Eastern time, that man Doug Kazarian and Adam are back for Betting Weekly Hardball. All your best bets for Thursday's Major League Baseball action. And as if Dougie hasn't had enough by then, he's back at 3:00 to talk WNBA and all things basketball with Wes on Betting Weekly Fast Break. So keep it here. Keep it here for tennis. Keep it here for Major League basketball. Keep it here for baseball. Basically, we started off the show by saying about our incredible growth in the channel, and we are going to keep going bigger and bigger and bigger. If you're not in the newsletter, it's free, folks. It'll be your inbox twice a week. bettingweeklystudios.com. It's just another way of getting closer to the team, and it will drop on Monday, and the Insider arrives on Fridays. So start your weekend with the Insider. Sign up now and you will get it. What a better way to start August with the Insider in your inbox. Quickly, before I ask Tim for his best bet of the day, I know we've already had Clarkey wheeling that out of him there. But Steve, staying away from tennis, Steve from Lynn today, and got lucky with a parlay yesterday. Going to stick with the soccer. Well, that's your prerogative, of course. Good luck with that. And while you're asking that, you're saying a Wyndham Open lane. I've got to be honest, mate. I've been that busy with this football. I haven't really looked at that yet. My main focus is going to be on Memphis next week. But I promise you what I'll do. Under this video later, give me an hour. I will post a lean for the Wyndham Open. How about that, Steve? So if everybody wants to look within the hour, I will post under this video a lean for the Wyndham. It's the very least I can do. I'm going to give my best bet of the day. Then we're going to come over to Tim. And I think CFR Cluj to beat Lugano on the money line. Let's keep it simple at plus 123. I think is a very solid play. So hopefully you get the pizza money. Throw in a kebab and a burger as well. So good luck with that if you're going to play. Tim, give me a tennis winner, please, my friend.
Yeah, I think as those 6 matches we've covered, I think if we do one on each side, we've obviously done the one on the women's side. And I think the best men's match, I think, would actually be tomorrow. I think the best bet there is Rublev Sonego over 10.5 games in set 1 at plus 160. But I think if I had to choose one out of the whole 6, I'd stick with the Coco Gauff Veronika Kudermetova match at over 20.5 total games. But yeah, what the Gauff on the women's side, and yeah, the Rublev Sonego match over 10.5 games, set 1 plus 160 on the men's side.
Excellent. There we go. Thanks very much, Tim. Really enjoyed it. And of course, an addition to for me and you this time we work together is these and the old vision. So there's been 3 of us here today. My glasses, me, and the great Tim Dennis. And it's been fantastic. Thanks for watching, folks. Thanks for all your comments. Stick with the channel. We've been through the other shows. And be here tomorrow, 11 a.m. Eastern time, when we kick off August with Betting Weekly Live. Have a great punting day, whatever you're doing. Good luck, everybody. Thanks, Tim. It's been fantastic. I'll see you again soon. And I'll see all of you again soon. And remember, within the hour, that free golf bet under this video. But keep it here for the tennis. Keep it here for Europa League. And let's see what August brings. July's been great, but we're greedy. See you soon, folks.